Okay, so what I want to do in this video is I want to share with you a recent experience with somebody who came to visit for golf lessons. And upon reflection, this sort of thing happens actually all of the time. So a lot of the golfers that I tend to work with, well, I work with a different demographic of golfers, from new golfers advising professional golfers to single, mid, high handicappers. But also I encounter my fair share of people that are older, that have maybe more time to play golf and are keen to improve. And one of the problems I tend to see with a lot of senior golfers is that they tend to fall into this habit where they assume that they can't move much, and they assume that maybe they can't get much better as well. And actually what you'll find is that the mistake that I tend to see most senior golfers do is, apart from having the wrong mindset potentially to some of this, they equally are actually moving incorrectly. Now look, I'm not naive. I meet lots of different golfers, whether it be online or face to face, and I'm very aware that people are going to have different ranges and different physical limitations. And you have to take that into consideration when working with a student. But I'm hoping that when you watch this video, you'll see exactly what I'm sort of talking about. So one of the things that I'm always trying to do is to get you guys thinking differently about the golf swing. And one of the pieces of feedback I've actually had from quite a few people recently is about this straight arm only exercise and how useful it was. Now, the idea of the exercise was to keep your arms completely dead straight and to basically lift them as high as you can, right? Like, you know, lift them up into the side of your body. And what you'll find with this type of exercise is that to be able to create elevation with your arms, you have to produce what's known as thoracic extension, which is basically just this feeling of being more upward. Now, the other way you can do this, and I do this with students who come for golf lessons that have this same problem, is we play like a game of sort of limbo, but kind of in reversal. So I get them against the wall, and then the idea is that they basically use just the right hand only, and what they do is they sort of swing back, keeping the head still, and then as soon as they feel like they've lifted their hand as high as they can, we have a look at where the location of the hand is, and we sort of mark it on the wall. And then what I do is I try and ask them questions as to how they would to swing that higher. Now, my point is, what happens with a lot of seniors is the mentality of, oh, I'm getting to a certain age, can't do much, you know, this and that, it's getting harder. When I feel like a lot of it's just misinterpretation of movement. And obviously I'm talking mainly about the backswing. So if you have a tendency, like what I tend to see with tendency and what I tend to see in the backswing, where your head moves off the ball, this is kind of known as moving in too much of a state of flexion, or sometimes on the channel I might coin the term turning over the leg. But what happens is when you move this way, okay, so if I said right arm dead straight, lifted behind your head, but you move this way, what you'd find is anatomically that's about as high as you can lift it, right? And then you'd sort of bend your arm a little bit to cheat, and what you'd go is, look, you know, I can't see, I told you I'm not very flexible, I just do this. Whilst in reality it's just because you don't know how to move and how to, you know, use your body to help you create much more leverage. And that's what I wanted to sort of talk about in this video in particular. So 100% there's going to be people that, and I'm sure you'll drop in the comments, that have real limitations, whether it be spinal fusions or whatever it might be, and obviously that's going to restrict a lot. And I also know that you'll maybe not be able to get as good a range of motion in certain areas, but I'm just trying to make you question a little bit about what it is that you think you know. So the way that I get students to go higher is, well, just through experimentation, just the feeling of being more upward, just the feeling of opening up your chest a little bit more, just the feeling of actually allowing the pelvis to feel like it goes up, maybe let the lead foot come up a little bit. And what this does is this then gives the golfer the capability to learn how to stay centered and then to create more leverage by lifting their arms higher. And then I advance this into other exercises where, you know, I then get them to use their right hand to pull the left arm up. And all of a sudden, you know, what starts to happen is you take a student from a backswing position like this, where they can't generate any force and they, you know, not really enjoying the game, to something where the student can then possess a backswing which looks a little bit more this way and just has a little bit more oomph in it. So I'm okay with a senior golfer, somebody who, you know, does struggle with the range, with the hands, with the arm bends a little bit. You know, I'm okay with them not turning fully to 90 degrees. I'm okay with that student standing and coming out of posture a little bit, because those are the realms of acceptance. But what I don't like is this sort of head moving off the ball type motion, where you can only elevate your arms here instead of producing something a little bit more like this. And then potentially, if you then know how to move not like this, and you know how to move like this, you might find that actually I'm able to swing back a bit quicker. And then because you're swinging back a bit quicker, you're able to gather a bit more momentum, so your arm can stay a little bit straighter. And then the next thing that you know, you're sort of breaking habits, and instead of this mentality of, oh, I can't do this and it feels too XYZ, it's too much hard work, all of a sudden you just start to feel like you can actually produce a bit more of a swing just by understanding your movement. So you would work on that exercise. You would work on arms dead straight, up against the wall, and then learning to go more this way. Or you can do it where you just retract that right shoulder and just play around with trying to get higher. You would then obviously mirror image it. So again, golfers have a tendency this way, have a tendency this way. I am sort of exaggerating to a degree, but then you would do the same thing. Left arm back, right arm up, this way. So all of a sudden, you're taking a golfer who's moving around excessively to lifting up, lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. And that's what you're looking to do. So what I'm hoping is that this video does a couple of things. One, it gets you thinking a little bit differently about the golf swing. And two, it questions whether you've got the right mentality and whether you could actually do more than maybe what you're allowing yourself to do. And well, I'll wait to hear from you.